get to play in a environment where people don't have dredge hate.
Right.
And that's the dream.
Right.
But sometimes you really just have to fight through hate.
Yeah.
And this tournament has had a ton of dredge hate. Every single deck list I've looked at has had 3 to 5 graveyard hate cards.
The dredge player just beat a Tormod script on camera in a game 3 a few rounds ago just by having 2 grave trolls in their opening hand.
Yeah, but I think his opponent may have been a bit hasty.
Sure. The argument that I've heard, though, from a lot of experienced dredge pilots, Max McCall, Richard Feldman wrote a great article, one of the better articles I've ever read on dredge, The Dark Art of Dredge Fu, I believe, about how cards like Nature's Claim have never won a game. In his long time playing dredge, he has never won a game that he would not have otherwise won with anti-hate like Ancient Grudge or Nature's Claim. That the only time he would consider playing something like that is against Leyline of the Void, and that even then, you just have to take your lumps, lose to Leyline of the Void decks, except that they really want to beat you and move on with your deck. And that's one of the risks that you take with playing dredge, is that you have to be okay with people just wanting to beat you and losing to those people.
Yeah. So I have a piece of exciting news for the people viewing right now.
Do tell.
Brad Nelson, very good friend of mine, very good man, currently in the finals of the Grand Prix, playing Mono Blue Grand Architect.
Awesome. Get yours now before they're sold out at $5 each.
I think they were telling me that Star City has sold just unreal amounts of them since it started.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, just unbelievable. Its deck's gonna explode.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, right now Grand Architect is still a pretty inexpensive card.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably just climbing by the hour, right?
Probably. And I can't imagine that
its price has sat still since the moment Lewis's deck tech got published.
Yeah. I mean, you can definitely still get them for less than they're probably going to be worth this week.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, next weekend at the PTQ, everybody and their dog is going to be wanting to play
12 Wormcoil Engines.
The 12 Wormcoil Engine deck. 8 clones, man. 8 clones is so good. I was saying that a lot yesterday. And, okay, so Shawn is mulliganing down to 6 cards. Mark is content to keep his opening 7. Now, I wonder who's on the play here. With the who's on the play?
The standings? Shawn is higher ranked, so he's going to be on the play, which is actually a really big deal. Another interesting thing to note about Mark's deck list is that he only has 3 Putrid Imp, which is by far your best discard outlet against hate post-board, because everything else is just a drawn discard spell. So he has 4 Faithless Looting, 4 Careful Study, but those aren't particularly good against Tormod script. Because if that's your only discard outlet, then when you get cryptid, you don't have a way to put a Dredger into your bin until you cast another draw spell, which means that those are 12 cards that you aren't dredging.
Exactly. So Shawn leads things off with an island, and Mark is going to have a turn 1 Undiscovered Paradise, which will cast a Putrid Imp, and then he has a Lion's Eye Diamond.
Oh dear.
Now, Shawn,
if Shawn
with a polluted Delta here.
He has Brainstorm and Jace and 2 Swords to Plowshares.
Yeah, a pair of swords in his hand.
Undiscovered Paradise is a card that returns as you untap. So there's no trigger. There's it can't be stifled. It is a card that's played in stasis decks of yore precisely because it always bounces back to your hand, and so you can just play it again as an untapped land.
Yeah.
It works here because it is the 3rd best rainbow land, 5-color land, after City of Brass and Gemstone land. And in a deck that wants about 10 5-color lands, so that it can cast everything from, Nature's Claim in green to Faithless Looting in red to Careful Study in blue to Putrid Imp in black.
Oh, wow. So, Shawn plays Swords to Plowshares on Putrid Imp.
In response,
And Mark responds by discarding his hand.
just the all of it.
The all of it.
That's a lot of. That's
It's a lot of dredgers.
Yeah.
Some Stinkweed Imps. What's the second card down there?
Between the two imps?
Yes.
Not sure. Could be a dread return.
It's shiny. I don't really recognize it.
Ah, Grave Troll.
Alright, so a Grave Troll,
So-
Cephalid Coliseum, Flamekin Zealot, Narcomoeba, Faithless Looting,
Oh dear.
Icarid.
Oh, I believe those are both dread returns. They're Graveborn dread returns. I could be wrong.
Okay, awesome.
I'll check on Gatherer.
That is a very good dredge for Mark.
Yeah, that's about as good as it gets, especially because he's about to peel another 12 off the top of his deck.
Yeah, well, not quite 12, probably 10, right? Because he's got the Faithless Looting, but
sure.
doesn't have the extra Grave Trolls. So he's going to get to sacrifice the LED here. No, I guess 11. Gets to replay his Undiscovered Paradise, sacrifice the LED, thus discarding the Golgari Grave Troll, flashing back Faithless Looting, dredging Golgari Grave Troll, and then dredging either another Golgari Grave Troll if he hits one, or a Stinkweed Imp if he does not. So getting another 11 or 12 cards into his graveyard this very turn. If he happens to hit in those 11 or 12 cards 2 Narcomoebas and a Grizzlebrand, he wins this turn.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
That is very sick.
I mean, Faithless Looting, very, very good card.
Yeah.
It's worth noting how much more different Dredge is because of Faithless Looting. Because before Faithless Looting, for those of you who are fairly new to Legacy, there were basically two camps of Dredge players. There were the slow food Dredge players and the fast food Dredge players. And the slow food movement was, we want to play a lot of permanent heavy discard outlets, Tireless Tribe, Putrid Imp. There's probably one other that I'm missing, but they didn't want to play Lion's Eye Diamond.
Yeah, so here, Shawn French casts Swords to Plowshares, removing the Narcomoeba from the game.
Right.
So with that Narcomoeba exiled, a Bridge from Below will not trigger.
And one less creature toward a potential dread return.
Yeah, and that's actually a pretty big hindrance to Mark here. All right, Mark going to remove a Stinkweed Imp from the game to put this Icarid into play from his graveyard. During his draw step, presumably going to dredge this Stinkweed Imp. Let's see what 5 cards he hits here. A Lion's Eye Diamond, another Narcomoeba, a Dread Return, a Breakthrough.
And I still don't know what that card is. I'm trying to figure it out. There's 3 of them. Oh, it's a Graveborn Cabal Therapy. That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's playing normal Dread Returns, and he clearly has a very, very fancy deck. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't think that he has any disparities between copies.
Yeah, so an Icarid coming in, putting Shawn French down to 16. And will he choose to crack that LED? I'm actually
I
surprised
feel like
he hasn't done it yet.
that's something that you would do pre-combat, right?
Yes, like if you're going to do it.
Yeah, because he flipped Flamekin Zealot early, right?
Yeah. Is there a reason to hold on to it really here? Or...
LED? Or like Faithless Looting?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But you definitely don't want to do it post-combat. Because, like, if he Miracles Terminus, then you just, like, give him more stuff to Wrath Away.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I really don't like it post-combat. It's the worst possible timing.
And Mark, forgetting to flashback Cabal Therapy with that Icarid.
Oh, yeah, jeez. What would you name?
Well, I saw my opponent's deck list, right?
Yeah.
Spell Pierce. Maybe Counterspell. Maybe Force.
The Deuce of?
Oh, Force.
Yeah, Force
Four.
a 4 of. Could name Jace.
Yeah,
Okay.
so Force
So
over
he-
Counterspell over Spell Pierce.
Oh, he flipped the Gristlebrand this turn. He flipped a bunch of other graveyard interactive cards, but definitely has the Gristlebrand in his graveyard, is going to activate LED, discard his hand, is going to flashback Faithless Looting, And Shawn's going to need a Spell Pierce or a Counterspell here, or this is going to get out of hand. Okay, has the Counterspell. Life resumes as normal.
Yep.
He didn't return Icarid.
I forgot to return his Icarid.
He might not have had a black creature to eat.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, the Putrid Imp was swords, so it was not in his graveyard.
Correct.
And the one Stinkweed Imp was dredged, and the other one was dredged, and then the other one had been removed for the last Icarid.
Correct.
All right, so in Elspeth, Spell Pierce and a Snapcaster Mage on top for Shawn French.
I actually like Shawn's position a lot here. He still doesn't have that Terminus. He's going to need to find one soon, but Mark hasn't hit any bridges.
Yeah, and Mark, despite his incredibly strong draws earlier on in the game,
Still hasn't found a bridge, and if those Narcomoebas get put on the bottom, or Shawn just Snapcaster plows them, then there isn't a whole lot that Mark's got going on. He's without a hand, he's dredging 6 or 5 a turn, and now Shawn has a top.
you know,
The potential of Terminus mid-combat opens up.
yeah, and that's a scary thing. Alright, so Icarid comes back. Mark is going to exile a Stinkweed Imp from his graveyard in order to do that. Going to dredge a Golgari Grave Troll. See what he flips up here. Gets a Golgari Thug, a Breakthrough, a Faithless Looting, a City of Brass, a Bridge from Below,
And a careful,
Careful
study.
Study.
So basically, the one card that he really cares about in that entire dredge
Is
was
the
the
bridge.
bridge.
So, he can sacrifice the, does he just go for it here?
Go for the dread return?
Yeah.
So he loses to Spell Pierce. He gets 3 zombies as an insurance plan. So he has both. Does he have both dread returns or just one in his graveyard?
I believe he has just one
Okay.
right now. Right. He found an Entreat the Angels, which he can leave on top.
And he has a plow.
Yeah. Plow also quite good here.
He's mana constrained, so Entreat's actually going to be pretty poor.
Right, the
Icarid
goes away.
dies, gets a zombie, and this is really where the grind begins.
Yeah, again, with no Cabal Therapy with that Icarid.
Maybe he just is saving it for Dread Return? Like, the turn that he flashes Dread Return, he just wants to name Force of Will?
I guess that's reasonable. Oh, you just know it's completely clear on that turn.
Yeah. The problem is
your
still,
Icarid is a resource.
It's actually less that and more that, like, Cabal Therapy is completely useless here because the only thing that really matters is whether Terminus is on top of his deck and he has Sensi's Dividing Top and play and it's untapped. Because if all of that's true, then it doesn't matter what he names. He could be, Shawn French could be empty-handed, and Dread Return would still be like a pretty play, because he just flips Terminus off the top at any point during that whole sequence, and just wipes everything away. Shawn French, however, scooping him up, doesn't have a 4th land, and is just going to get ground out, was going to get attacked for lethal, either the next turn or the turn after.
In the next turn, Mark had him dead if he wanted to. Mark there could have had Shawn on 0 cards by that point, just by sacrificing the Icarid over and over again.
Yeah. Had multiple Cabal Therapies to flashback.
Yeah, I think he had 3.
Yeah.
So
we should probably keep our voices down. I just realized that there are
very few people in this room.
Fewer people in this room than we
hello.
thought.
So we're about to give away 6 free months of premium. So how this works, we're going to ask you a trivia question. You can tweet your answers into hashtag SCGPremium.
Mm-hmm.
Now, today there is a card from Urza's block, a blue card. It's a sorcery.
Okay.
It costs 2 colorless and a blue. And This card, we've seen it from time to time pop up in top 8 here or there, Star City events. But at this event, this card has done some really, really impressive things. I'd like to know what 2 blue, so 2 colorless, 1 blue, sorcery from Urza's block has made a huge splash in this weekend's top 8.
Okay. Good question. I like it. Keep them honest. Keep them on their toes.
Yeah, it's very easy to find out. You can, go to the StarCityGames.com website, look at the top 8 deck lists from this event.
Should be pretty clear.
It should be very clear to you once you look at these deck lists what the answer to this question is.
It's not Delver of Secrets. I'll tell you guys that it's not Delver of Secrets.
Sometimes it becomes run and hide. That's another clue. Yeah.
I like it.
All right, so going into game 2 here, Shawn French, again, going to get to be on the fly. Does not seem like a good matchup for him, but with the Tormod's Crypts and the Relic of Progenitus, maybe he'll be able to pull it out.
Yeah, this matchup will definitely get more complex and more skill testing after sideboarding.
Yeah, whenever you cover Dredge, it's almost always going to win game 1.
I mean, it sort of counts on it.
That's something that's really important to Dredge, is that it's going to win game 1.
Right. If the blue-white deck had drawn more lands, I think it's entirely reasonable to have it win a game 1 against Dredge just by miracling Terminus.
Do you remember the Dredge Pro Tour?
Was that the one in Valencia?
It was. The Pro Tour was about 50% Dredge, almost 50% Dredge. More people played Dredge than any other archetype by far, and it got crushed. It's like day 2 retention rate was like under 20%.
I mean, when half the field is playing it, there's a pretty big spread in talent, right? It's not like exactly the top 50 percentile of 50% of skilled players are playing it.
Yeah, I mean, also people had like 8 sideboard cards for it, like almost everybody. Like
well,
there were literally
half
decks
the room
with,
is playing it.
Like I had 4 Leyline of the Void and some number of Tormod's Crypts in my sideboard.
How many times did you face it?
On day 1?
Yeah.
3. So they
How
were
many
worth
times
it.
did you beat it?
3.
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
Seems like a miserable Pro Tour.
Not the best Pro Tour. Also, day 1 was like 1,000,000 rounds long because we didn't have...
Well, you guys got flooded, right?
Yeah, so we kind of didn't have a day 1 and just had a day 1.5 that was 1,000,000 rounds long. I still didn't day 2, even after beating all those Dredge matches.
So,
a solid 5-5.
One of the skills that this post-board game is going to test is Shawn's patience. Shawn has a lot of triggers that he can pull and buttons that he can press to make things go away. He has terminuses that he can miracle. He has...
Would you refer to those as levers?
Levers that he can pull?
Yeah, levers that he could pull.
I suppose if I were the British sort, I would. He has swords to plowshares that he can point at creatures. He has Tormod's Crypts that he can pop. Relic of Progenitus. Oh, a single Relic of Progenitus that he can activate. But he only has so many of these things, and he needs to ration them wisely, and he needs to figure out how he's going to win after he pulls all of these levers and pushes all of these buttons.
Because it's hard. Like, I mean, his deck's pretty grindy, and he's going to have to take out a lot of his win conditions here.
I agree.
What do you think he takes out here?
Spell Snare for sure. Doesn't hit a thing.
Well, yeah. But beyond the Spell Snares, because he's bringing in, what would you say, 6, 7, or 8 cards?
8.
8?
1 Terminus.
1 V-Click, 2 Path.
No.
3
I'd leave the V-Click in the board.
Relic.
I'd for sure leave the V-Click in the board to create... Are you V-Clicking them?
You like need a way to win, a way to block and trade.
So you just like look at their hand. You can never actually.
No, you V-click yourself and just
Sure.
get further to your Torments, Crypts, and Relics. All right, Shawn is actually mulliganing a 5, so it doesn't really bode too well for him.
No, I don't like his odds here.
No.
The degenerate top 8 continues. Oblivion Ring's really bad. I'd cut that too.
Oh yeah, Oblivion Ring's terrible. Yeah, but you really like V-click just as
Counterspell.
like a way to like loot for yourself, plus like a threat that can trade, get rid of bridges, and can just get
So
you
like
toward
when they
more
have
Crypts and
Narcomoeba?
Relics. Yeah, because they're always gonna swing with it. You can like definitely nab a
you
bridge
just,
with
like,
that.
Have the stare off of V-click versus Narcomoeba? Or do you send your click into their Narcomoeba?
You say no, you like they attack with their Narcomoeba.
Uh-huh.
You play your V-click, you loot, get closer to more Torments, Crypts, and Relic of Progenitus, and it's like one of your only effective ways to get rid of bridges. Otherwise, they can just grind you out.
Well, but you have 4 graveyard sweepers, you have 4 wraths that don't trigger a bridge from below.
So you're taking the V-clicks out.
Yes.
Okay, so you're taking out V-click, you're taking out Spell Snare,
I'm taking out...
you're taking out Oblivion Ring.
Yeah.
I agree with the Spell Snares and the Oblivion Rings. I don't agree with taking out the V-clicks. I think you take out Entreat the Angels.
Yep. I would cut Counterspell as well. Is Shawn really... Shawn's mulliganing to 3? That's what we're getting over the headset. This is looking grim. He doesn't even have a Leyline of the Void to put into play.
Yeah, the mulligan to 3. It's pretty rough. Not gonna lie. I have mulliganed 3 a few times. I have never won any of those games. That's a fun fact.
I heard that...
fun fact about
his 3-card hand, Terminus, Snapcaster, more like a negative 3-card hand.
yes, Terminus, Snapcaster is actually like a 1-card hand, right?
Yeah, it's actually even worse because you really want the Terminuses in your deck.
Yes, it's probably worse than 1 card. You're right. All right, so 2-card hand.
Land.
Hey, people have
top,
won with
man.
2-card hands before. It's happened. I'm ready to see it. Are you ready to see somebody win with a 2-card hand?
I would love nothing more than to see Blue-White Miracle Control defeat Dredge with a 2-card hand.
With a 2-card hand.
Tundra, Sensei's Divining Top. Go. Hellbent.
What if he just goes double crypt, and then just like starts drawing cards?
Well,
just
maybe
winning?
Mark kept a 4-lander and curves out perfectly and beats him up with his flying squad of Narcomoeba and Stinkweed Imp and his dog. Faithless Looting, LED, Cabal Therapy, Firestorm. Firestorm?
He brought in Firestorm?
Firestorm is a card from
Weatherlight?
Weatherlight, thank you.
Yeah.
That is a red instant, and it reads, choose and discard X cards
From your hand.
from your hand. Firestorm deals X damage to each of X target creatures and or players. So you can only discard as many cards as you have targets. And since Shawn does not play many creatures at all, it will rarely discard more than 2 cards and deal more than 2 damage.
Yeah, it's just pretty bad.
It's very, very good against the green-white decks.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Because you
I'm
just
saying
wrath
against-
them and dump all of your dredgers. But against a control deck like this, it's very, very bad.
Maybe he anticipated like Vendilion Clicks and Snapcaster Mages.
It's almost like he read his list.
Alright, so Narcomoeba in play for Mark. And Gemstone Mine. Pretty full grip. Gets to play this LED.
Gets to flashback Faithless Looting.
Yeah, and I think his goal at this point is just to...
Spell Pierce the LED. I like it.
yeah, I mean, hey, he's interacting. That's actually a pretty big deal.
I agree.
Especially with how many good cards are in Mark's hand. Like, good cards
Yeah, that dredge.
that should be in Mark's graveyard for Mark.
Correct.
Alright,
A second land.
the second land.
We
And
have-
this 2-land hand. Suddenly the 2-land hand not looking too bad here.
So you're saying there's a chance?
I'm saying there's a chance.
Can we root for Relic of Progenitus? I would love nothing more than to see.
I mean, like, actually, there's
one-off.
no way we can't root for guy who mulliganed to 2.
Yeah, obviously.
Like, right?
Against
Like,
Dredge? Yeah, sorry, Dredge player, if you can hear me. I'm rooting against you.
like Dredge is always a villain.
Yeah, of course.
And now, like, he shuffled his opponent's deck in a way that made his opponent mulligan to 2.
What a scumbag.
What an evil human.
If we can even call him that.
Mark, bashing in for 1 with that Narcomoeba. And Shawn draws first turn.
Plow,
he has a plow for the Narcomoeba.
Yeah, man.
Oh. You just do that like first opportunity, right?
Yeah, I would snap that off. Don't let him get any bridge tokens.
Also, you just like wanna, I guess,
2,
you mulligan to
3,
2. It's like
4, 5. These are some pretty miserable dredges, though.
yeah, like the
There's
worst.
like nothing going on.
Well,
I think he has all of his lands in his graveyard.
Yeah, all the cards that he wants to dredge are all in his hand.
Well, yeah.
I think you actually might just be supposed to take some draw steps here.
Discards bridge on unstep. I would have plowed. I guess when you discard bridge, that's like the hard end of the turn. You can't tap mana after someone discards a card.
No,
You can't do anything.
That's why if somebody says
Brainstorm.
discard and then discards their cards, their turn is over. You no longer have an opportunity to do anything.
So he put. Oh, he has a Terminus in his hand, and he put it back second from the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to get to plow this Narcomoeba. It's going to be sweet.
Yeah, it is going to be pretty sweet.
So he's going to draw a card for his. Yes. He's going to draw a card for his turn next turn. Then he's going to have another brainstorm to brainstorm into Terminus.
On his opponent's turn if he wants to, or
Yeah, get him.
set it up. Yep.
Nope, no
Oh
Ichorids.
man, this is too good to be true.
No Ichorids. Oh, does he have an Ichorid? Man. Boo. Boo this man, boo.
Yeah, so Ichorid. Me out. And, I mean, how is Shawn going to win on 2 cards? It's looking like he's
going to
in
draw
pretty
his
good
card,
shape.
and then on his opponent's turn, his opponent is going to return Ichorid again. He's going to cast Brainstorm and flip the top of his deck, and it's going to be Terminus. He's going to put the trigger on the stack, continue brainstorming, put 2 cards back, and then put Terminus on the stack.
Yeah. Alright, so Ichorid coming in for 3.
Getcha.
Shawn down to 15 now.
Still very alive.
Yeah.
Dies, gets a trigger. Oh man, I really hope he returns all of those Ichorids. Draw a card, say go. I kinda want him to fan his hand a little bit, look through it, pretend that he has something to do. He looks too much like a man with a plan. Very stoic, just like the quick draw and pass. Something's up. Something is afoot. Oh, he's saying I had 8. I needed to discard. You didn't let me do that. Sure. Mark working with a 7 to 8 card hand at all times now.
Yeah, I'm actually a bit surprised that, doesn't Mark have the Dreader turn and some bridges in the yard?
Yes, but he's going to need to get those Ichorids back. And, yes, all the Ichorids. Get them. Get them in the draw step. This is going to be so good.
Yeah, this is going to be
Go, Shawn,
really
go.
good. This is going to be... He's going to win on 2 cards, isn't he?
Dude, I really, really hope so. I really hope so.
He's going to do the impossible.
Dude, he's got to, like, peel
He's like
form on
John
script and,
Henry beating the locomotive
Yo, can we, like...
machine. The coal machine, whatever John Henry beat. And Golgari Grave Troll.
1,
Dredging, 6
2,
cards.
3, 4, 5, 6. Hold on.
These are some really bad dredges for him, huh?
Please have an effect in his draw step. Please have an effect in his draw step. put the Ichorids on the bottom of his library.
Alright, so
We have something
Semi-combat?
to do, ladies and gentlemen. Snapcaster Mage. That's not what I expected at all.
yeah, that's not what I expected either.
I was expecting him to get those Ichorids. What's going on?
Wait, didn't he have the Terminus on the top of his deck?
Yeah, he does.
He has Brainstorm in his hand, doesn't he?
That's what I thought.
Oh no, he put the Terminus one card higher.
Did he really draw the Terminus wrong?
No, Shawn.
Did he really
You were
misstack his
gonna
Brainstorm?
blow him out, and you mulliganed into 2. It was gonna be the sweetest thing that ever happened.
Or ever
You were gonna
would.
be like John Henry.
Oh, man.
It's alright. I still have faith. He's about to top deck Tormod's Crypt, Tormod's Crypt, Tormod's Crypt in a row.
Dude, just Relic of Progenitus and get you.
Alright, moving a bunch of cards here. Dredging this Grave Troll. Some really aggressive dredging when you know that your opponent has
3, 4,
crypts and
5.
stuff, isn't it?
6. Those are some bridges.
Yeah, I mean that's a very good dredge for him, as opposed to the others that he's had.
He does have this card in his hand that will let him not die. This counterspell card that he kept in.
Well, I mean, isn't Mark just going to keep attacking him with the Ichorids?
Well, yeah.
Is that just a better
he
play?
needs to miracle the 3rd Terminus in his deck off the top, which is not exactly the most reasonable expectation.
Yep, Shawn, down to 3 now.
Did he really not have a Brainstorm in hand after all that?
Maybe the thing that we thought was a Brainstorm was a Snapcaster. I really thought it was a Brainstorm.
Yeah, me too. It wasn't even that I was rooting for it, I just thought he had a Brainstorm.
Come on, it also would have been the sweetest thing that ever happened. And that's it. Mark Eilers able to win,
Boo.
taking out Shawn in a very tight game where Shawn